What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we're going to talk about the CHIPS Act. We're also going to talk about how both parties love to give away the jewels to the billionaire class and to the corporation class and to the owner class, and how both political parties are in bed with the business class at the expense of the worker class. Both parties. There's a difference between the two parties, however, in that one party gives a lot of lip service. One party will do small things that do make a difference. They do help. I'll give you an example. President Biden's NLRB has been pretty good on worker issues. They've been pretty aggressive and pretty dang good in their decisions supporting workers. That being said, President Biden has not pushed for the PRO Act. President Biden has not fulfilled his promise to raise the minimum wage and to expand union membership. The CHIPS Act is the latest example of the letdown by this administration and the Democratic Party in general. That's not to tell you that the Republicans will support workers, because that'll never happen. Republicans do not support the working class. They are exclusively supporters of the business class. What it is to tell you is that we have got to take over the Democratic Party more thoroughly in the primary season. When I say we, I mean the working class. We're too often ready to let someone else do the work and let someone else have the responsibility. And it's largely this reason that our unions are weak, that our locals are weak, that our membership thrives and is looking for leadership somewhere, someone to lead them. It's why these conditions exist today. It's because all of us, myself included, we're looking for someone else to do the work. Unions are supposed to be the vanguard of the working class. Yet, unions are largely absent on the front lines of the fight. You're seeing an actual fight now with the Teamsters, but the Teamsters are under new leadership, not legacy leadership, not legacy thinking, new thinking. New thinking where they are identifying the problem as it is today and fighting back using the weapons that we learned so long ago work so effectively that they scare the bejesus out of the business class. I've given you a pretty good intro on what we're going to talk about. Let's dive in, because we want to know, right? What has the CHIPS Act done? This was the act that was supposed to bring microchip manufacturing to the U.S. and to bring good paying union jobs. Remember that. We spent tax dollars for this. Let's get a look. This is out of the American Prospect, dated June 30th, 2023. TSMC to bring 500 plus more migrant workers to Arizona. The chip-making giant, which expects to receive up to $15 billion in federal tax credits and grants for its Arizona facility, says U.S. workers are not up to the job. Can you imagine? You're getting our public dollars, but you're trying to come over here and say that the U.S. workers are not up to the job. Understand that that's propaganda. U.S. workers are very much up to the job. U.S. workers are very much up to any job. U.S. workers are not lazy. U.S. workers are not entitled. U.S. workers are deserving. You understand? Change your thinking on this stuff, because they propagandize us every day in how they write articles and how they express themselves. The world's largest contract chip maker will import hundreds of workers from Taiwan to help build its sprawling new facility in Phoenix, Arizona, the company announced on Thursday. Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company, TSMC, and its suppliers plan to bring more than 500 migrant workers to Phoenix for a limited time due to labor shortages and other factors, according to Nikkei Asia. The news comes a week after the prospect published an investigation of labor problems plaguing the TSMC site, which currently employs over 12,000 contract workers. Some described life-threatening injuries, while others detailed setbacks in construction that they alleged were caused by non-union contractors. The company has refused to sign an agreement with local labor groups, which union leaders say would help secure a reliable workforce. They've refused to sign an agreement with the local labor unions in Phoenix to build this facility. What happened to bringing strong union jobs? That should have been a requirement for anyone coming to open a plant in the US on our tax dollars. It should have been a requirement. Oh, you're going to have strong union jobs and a union contract on your job. But no, as we see, we've allowed it to not be a strong union job, and therefore it's not a reliable job, and it's an unsafe work site, because non-union contractors, for the most part, don't have a requirement to ensure safety to their employees, whereas a union job gives you a contract that defines the work that you're going to be doing and how it's going to get done. They play on your ignorance and allow this stuff to go on because we're ignorant of the laws and we're ignorant of the realities of what unions do. It's an effing disgrace, Aaron Butler, president of the Arizona Building Trades Council, told the prospect in response to the news that the company would bring more overseas workers. In recent months, TSMC has issued a drumbeat of complaints over high labor and regulatory costs in the U.S. The criticisms come as the company angles to receive even more grants and credits from federal legislation, according to the Wall Street Journal. I'm going to post this article in the description box, but I also want to look at some of what their investigation said. And so we'll turn to that really quick, and let's try to dive into that. This is from June 22nd. Chip makers scramble to build, marred by mistakes and injuries. TSMC's $40 billion semiconductor facility in Phoenix is an open shop that resisted signing an agreement with labor unions, and it has been tainted with accidents, alleged wage theft, and costly setbacks. Take I-17 north out of Phoenix and you quickly hit the red dust of the Sonoran Desert. Shortly after exiting the city, you pass a series of cranes spanning the horizon. There's little indication of who owns the plot of land, but at the turnoff, a poster of a pointing Uncle Sam is mounted on the green construction fencing. In a twist on the classic war recruitment slogan, it reads, "Safety starts with you." Behind Uncle Sam lies one of the largest active construction sites in North America, a 2-square-mile campus that will soon churn out cutting-edge semiconductor chips, critical technologies that power nearly all electronics, from cars and children's toys to medical devices, missiles, and iPhones. Thousands of construction workers make their way across the site daily. The site is owned by Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, one of the world's most powerful and resolutely inconspicuous brands. It broke ground in 2021, and last December, President Joe Biden visited for a ceremony as machinery was wheeled in. With Apple CEO Tim Cook in attendance, TSMC announced a second major investment in the facility, bringing its total to $40 billion. The announcement came directly out of the passage of the CHIPS and Science Act, which commits $52 billion to the research and production of semiconductors. Domestic fabrication plants and fabs are part of an effort to meet national security goals while restoring manufacturing capacity in the coming months. TSMC is likely to receive billions in federal support for Fab 21 in Phoenix, with its leading-edge 4-nanometer chips ready to ship by 2024. At the ceremony, Biden announced that Fab 21 was being built with labor union. Union labor. Some critics, echoing complaints from semiconductor company executives, argue that labor requirements and other complicated standards imposed by the administration could doom the effort to reshore semiconductor production. Here is a company fighting to pay less. But the debate has raced ahead of reality. I went to Phoenix to interview construction workers on site and found that while some union contractors have secured jobs, most workers at the site are non-union. Many are international migrants, and out-of-state workers. The parking lot is full of Texas and Louisiana license plates. Injuries and safety violations are rampant, workers say, and trust in the jumble of contracting managers runs low. TSMC managers have allegedly stepped in to modify contractors' work without warning. A worker with one of the staffing agencies hiring for the facility said she has repeatedly been paid less than her salary, and colleagues have been denied paychecks. "It's easily the most unsafe site I've ever walked on," said Luke Casper, a representative of the sheet metal workers union, known as SMART. "I've been in the trade 17 years. Everyone that works at the hall and out there on site agrees that it's by far the most dangerous, unorganized job site they have ever seen. Cutting corners on safety and training in a facility as demanding as a semiconductor fab can lead to costly setbacks. It's a lesson some rival manufacturers have learned in blood. But as the White House wrestles to revive American chip manufacturing, the challenge will be convincing a mature industry that its refusal to share benefits with workers comes with economic as well as human costs." So this is an investigative report that dives into just how bad the work site is. But what's really telling is that we gave this company a bunch of money and allowed them to come over here and allowed them to bring in their own migrant work crews, allowed them to bring in their own international workers that require visas, allowed them to run open shop bids for this facility on U.S. taxpayer money by the most pro-union president ever. You see where the problem is? Now again, I'll never sit here and tell you that Republicans are better than Democrats. Lord knows I can't say that with a straight face. We know the things that they're doing and how dastardly they are. What I will say though is, do not be fooled and sit there and think that the Democratic Party in general and as a whole is fighting for working people. That may have been the case in the 50s, 40s, maybe. But we're a long way from that. And business has bought its way of influence into both parties. On the right, it wholly owns them. On the left, it dang near wholly owns them too. But we get lip service from the left, and we get slithers of policy that'll help, but nothing meaningful enough to make a difference. That's why I'm always saying it's largely and mostly and entirely going to be on us in the rank and file, because these businesses have bought their influence into unions as well, into labor halls, into hiring halls, into the elected positions of those hiring halls. There is influence there from business that is not aligned with the interest of the working folks. And it's going to take the rank and file of all unions to decide to take an active role in changing things. If we continue to look for someone else to do it, we'll continue to be sold up the river. It'll be unless and until we decide to take it back. Because this is our house. It doesn't belong to them. This is our country. It doesn't belong to them. We create all wealth. They do nothing. And it's high time you realize it too. My name's Eric. You're watching Union Minded. Remember that the fight is not left and right. It is up and down, and it's going to take solidarity to win always. Each one teach one, get out there and reach one. And there can be no union without you and I front and center. Peace.